You know, the famous joke that the trains run on time. But the flip side of enlightenment has been to sort of give up before the overpowering forces of technology in a more abject surrender than any that was ever called for in religion. I mean, to abjectly just to surrender before the powers of technology.
Lecture 4, Marcuse and One-Dimensional Man. Marcuse became a pop figure, the philosopher of the 1960s. He expressed a key contradiction in modernity. Modernity is enlightenment, end of myth and dogma, power of reason. But it's also the rise of technology, capitalism, specialization, instrumental reason, and return of myth and dogma. The Enlightenment built an intellect powerful enough to surrender dogmatically before the powers of technology. This is the dialectic of enlightenment, as analyzed by Max Horkheimer and Theodore Adorno, and popularized by Marcuse. Instrumental rationality, information-based individual reason, leads to irrational outcomes. Individual monologic rationality is not rationality in the totality of the overall system. How did the force of the love of reason become itself unreasonable? The self cannot escape siege under sway of instrumental reason alone. It drains the world of meaning. And leads to the entwinement of myth and enlightenment. Instrumental reason is the product of a one-dimensional society that produces one-dimensional human beings. Marcuse criticizes our society along at least two dimensions. First, the inner dimension: anxiety, despair, nausea, and massive industry and drugs to deal with these pathologies. A society of addicts. Second, the outer, social world: alienation, separation from the subject and the object, and the self in Marx's sense. Rationalization, bureaucracy, and technical action in Weber's sense. These produce a one-dimensional culture or banality, which reduces human suffering and human desire to trivia and image. Such humans have by now become deeply skeptical and cynical about almost everything, in particular the government and the culture industry. Beyond that, we are becoming skeptical about our history, our meaning, our purpose, and the general fate of the species. Marcuse's method of criticism is called internal critique, which measures society against its own historically accumulated concepts and ideals in order to point out the gap between the actual social practices and the principles. Marcuse also never lost faith in the human species to reconstruct itself, to begin anew. This hope of liberation transcended the field of economics and standard Marxism, as well as the achievements of the free and democratic world of today. Apparently. He also rested his hope in the possibility that the self could be won against the odds. Today this view is old-fashioned.